You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
This might be the fastest final lap in Olympic history.
If you could take it, you can make it.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
good to see
you?
you? How's everything?
Very good.
A lot of traveling around the world. Angela, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Obviously, you know, we said it before. As a Lebanese, your stories get to me because you say them in such a raw and sensitive way. So, how important is it for you to feel instinctive about the stories that you tell?
Very important. As a director, I think it's you can't tell a good story if you don't absolutely believe in what it says, and you're not interested in it yourself. So I was fascinated by this time in history, of course, but more than that, I love the message of Unbroken. I loved Laura's book, and I loved Louis Zamperini, and I believe that it's a very at this time when there is so much. I think where we as human beings feel so overwhelmed by, and so much that kind of really makes us wonder what there is to be hopeful about. What is it we can rely on? It reminds us that what we each have inside of us and what each individual can do, and the strength of the human spirit. And it's important.
You are enemies of Japan. You will be treated accordingly.
Judging by how fond you are of, you know, Louis when he was still alive, do you get very emotionally involved also in the stories and the projects?
Yes, very much so. This one, obviously, in particular, because you don't expect. When I read the book, I wanted to meet him, and I knew I had a feeling I would like him. I didn't know he would be as great, and he really was as great as you can imagine. But I didn't know how much he would mean to my life, and he would become so influential to me, and that suddenly telling his story wasn't just about his story, it was that we felt like the keepers of this very important legacy of this great man who was our dear friend, and that if we were to fail, we would fail him, and we would fail his message and his life. And then through the film, he was very connected to all of us and spent time with all of us and helped us. And then towards the end of his life, we were finishing up the film, and it was difficult. It was difficult to even finish the film, because in finishing it, it was almost like saying goodbye to him. So.
That's true. It was so serendipitous in a way.
I think if you know anything about this man's life, it's impossible that I wouldn't want to tell his story, and it's been in the making for over 50 years, and I was just the lucky one who came along at the right time, I suppose. And he was my neighbor, turns out, and he was such a great man, a really, truly great person who wanted the best for everybody, saw greatness in everybody, a really funny, really spirited, great human being.
Do you feel that your talent for juggling all the lives you have as a mother, an actress, a director, a humanitarian, helps you as a director because it's all about multitasking?
Yes, I think there's definitely something to that. When you're used to a family, a big family, and a lot of, you do some conflict management, you do a lot of negotiating, and answer a lot of questions at all times. So yeah.
Yeah, it's quite similar on a set, isn't it? They feel like your children, the actors. Obviously, the fans all want to know if it's true that you would stop acting one day, but if you had to choose a last role, which one would you think it would be?
Cleopatra.
That's so interesting. And why?
Well, we've been working on it for a few. Stacy Schiff wrote a book, and it doesn't talk about her in the way people know her. It talks about her as a leader and a mother. And I think who she really was is actually quite interesting, and how her story has changed and been misinterpreted, and has been how people would like, I think they say the people that didn't like her were the ones that ended up writing her history. When you really study who she was an amazing woman. So I find her very interesting, and I love that part of the world. I love Egypt, so.
Egypt loves you back. Thank you so much. You got me so excited about this. Thank you.
I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Come
إن شاء الله أنه تكونوا استمتعتوا بالمقابلة